Welcome back. I'm doing a little video on one of my commander decks. This is my Vampire Tribal Commander deck. Alenda the Dusk Rose is the commander, and it works awesome. I love this deck. Let's go over this one at a time, or one section at a time. Artifacts. These are mostly the artifacts that I use for ramp. Black and white don't have a whole lot of ramp, so sometimes you got to use a bauble or soul ring, signets, hierarchy. Ashnod's Altar is a great one for this because you are going to be sacrificing creatures anyways. And then of course, Chromatic Lantern and Nyx Lotus. If you had to cut one for a better, if you have it, this one can go away pretty easily. Wayfarer's Bauble could go away. Signets and the Hierarchy Talisman could go away. If you have the Mana Crypt and Mana, those. But if you don't, then don't worry about it. Two Planeswalkers, Kaya the Geist Hunter and Sorin the Vengeful Bloodlord. Kaya, I like Kaya. She works. I normally use her middle ability. Until end of turn, if one or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many of those tokens are created instead, which is great when you have other things that are giving you tokens. So numbers are -6. It's her ultimate. I've never reached, so it's really cool, but I've never reached it. Sorin the Vengeful. I like this one because it says, as long as it's your turn, creatures and planeswalkers you control have lifelink. So I'm normally always plussing to this. Sorin deals 1 damage to target player or planeswalker. I've never negative X'd it, but I could. Return target creature with converted mana cost X from your graveyard to the battlefield. That creature is a vampire in addition to its other type. So, you could, but I've never done it. I normally put him down, +2 him, and then it's just fun. The themes behind my vampire deck pretty much are, besides it being a tribal deck, I like the aristocrats style play, but I also like life gain. So it's kind of a balance between the two. Enchantments, Legion's Landing, which is a cuttable card if you don't like it or if you don't want it, but it's also a flip card. So Legion's Landing, when it comes in, you get a 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink, and when you attack with 3 or more creatures, transform Legion's Landing, which becomes a land, which gives you more, for 3 and tap, create a 1/1 white vampire. It's cuttable if you don't really need it and you have something better you want to put in. Profane Possession is a great one because it takes your opponent's creatures. Then if there are 3 or more cards exiled with Profane Possession, transform it, which is great because then you can cast it. But the best part about this is people don't like it. They want to get rid of it. So the faster you can pay the 5 exiling their creature, if they destroy this, they don't get it back. They don't get it back. It doesn't say until it leaves play or until this. No, they don't get it back. It's exiled. It's pure and simple. It's exiled. Etchings of the Chosen, another one that can be taken out. This one here, the Etchings of the Chosen enters the battlefield. Choose a creature type. Vampires, of course. Creatures you control get +1/+1. Sacrifice creature chosen type. Target creature you control gains indestructible until end of turn, which is great because I've board wiped my own my own creatures, made Alenda indestructible, and then every creature that died, she gets bigger. So Smothering Tithe, because if you're going to play white, you better have a Smothering Tithe. Smothering Tithe just gets you extra mana, more tokens. And it works really well with the black Revel to Riches. So if you happen to get 10 creatures from your opponent's losing 10 creatures, and you get 10, And this doesn't matter if the tokens coming into play are from the creatures or if they're from Smothering Tithe. So if you get 10 at your upkeep, you have 10 of them, then you win the game automatically. It doesn't matter if they came from this or if they came from Smothering Tithe along with Anointed Procession. It doesn't matter. And that's kind of one win con with the Revel to Riches. That's land. We'll go with land last. Basic these are the artifacts that are non-mana rocks. Swiftfoot Boots, because you need them. Whisperspell Cloak, because you need it. Wedding Ring. This is an awesome card. I absolutely love this card. You give one of your opponents, a wedding ring. So anytime that you give them an artifact token. So anytime that you draw, they draw. Anytime they draw, you draw. Anytime they gain life, you gain life. Anytime you gain life, they gain life. So if you have let's say you're playing two-headed giant, this is a great card for it. But if you have an opponent that's playing blue and you really don't care that they're, canceling spells because, I don't know, I can't think of it. But if they're doing a lot of card draw, you get to share in the card draw, and white doesn't have card draw. Forgot to mention, this episode is brought to you by a nice Port Townsy. When you have a player that is losing fast and you really need their creatures to stay on board, like for instance a red goblin deck, this thing benefits from a red goblin deck, you can keep them alive by giving them lifelink with the wedding ring. Anytime you gain life, they gain life, so it kind of helps out. I love that card. I think it's awesome. Aether Flux Reservoir, because who doesn't like shooting somebody for 50 points? I mean, the big blue laser, it's awesome. Vanquisher's Banner, great card, gives you draw. Every time you put a vampire in play, you get to draw a card. Plus, it gives the vampires a +1/+1. So, it's a good card. And then, of course, Bola's Citadel. Great card for casting things off the top of your library. The downside is you are using your life to do it. But hopefully, with the amount of life gain that you're getting, it's kind of off-put with the Bolas's Citadel. So, and then, of course, these two is another win con, which is great because, every time you cast a spell, you gain life, and then you can shoot somebody for 50 points. But this one, you're going to be casting spells using your life, so they kind of go off of one another, and you can get that 50 up there pretty quick. Oops. Okay. Non-vampire creatures. Heliod, Suncrown, because why not? It gives a creature a lifelink if you do it right. +1/+1. And of course, it works really well with Walking Ballista. I learned that you have to have two. You have to have two 1/1 tokens on this. It doesn't work with just one +1/+1 token. Because if you kill the creature and you set it off, it doesn't bounce back and forth enough. You have to have at least one -1/-1 counter on it, so that it will, or I'm sorry, one positive +1/+1 counter on it, so that it will go off the way you want it to go off. Judge told me it has to be +2 or +1/+1, two of them. So I'm like, okay, whatever. But yeah, it's a great win con right there between the two, Walking Ballista and Suncrowned, Heliod Suncrowned. Zulubor Cutthroat, gain life for every creature that dies. That's always awesome, and your opponent loses life. So there you go. There's one Aristocrats member. Alea, Eternal Pilgrim. This one's great. Death Touch, and of course, if you gain life equal to the sacrifice creatures, and of course you have a lifelink sub-theme, exile, or for 1, a white and a black, sacrifice another creature, exile target non-land permanent. Activate this ability only if you have at least 10 life more than the starting life total. So this one's great when you get 50 life. You can get rid of a +1/+1, a 1/1 vampire and destroy their, kill something of theirs. Exile a non-land permanent. So that's always awesome. Suture Priest, because I know it's not a vampire, but it does the same aristocrat style thing. When a creature comes in on my side, I get to gain 1 life. When a creature goes in on their side, they get to lose a life. So it's an aristocrats thing. I like it. And then, of course, Grey Merchant of Asphodel, Old Gary. Why would you not put Old Gary in a black and white vampire deck? Because, while he is a zombie, he does do a lot of damage, and you gain life. So it's always fun. Vampires. Vampires are are a very important part of a vampire tribal theme. You should have as many vampires as you possibly can. Some of these vampires are better than others. Some of them are just simple filler until I get a better vampire. Some of them are just great. So, for instance, I like this one. Knight of the Ebon Legion, pay 1. It's a 1/2. It's a vampire knight. 2 in a black. Knight of the Ebon Legion gets +3/+3, gains death touch until end of turn. And of course, at the beginning of your end step, if a player lost 4 or more life this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Knight of the Ebon Legion. It's awesome. It's also cannon fodder. Viscera Seer. It's a vampire. It's a sacrifice outlet. Sacrifice creature, scry 1. You can sacrifice himself to scry 1. He is also cannon fodder. Cruel Celebrant. Yeah, Cruel Celebrant. It's a great aristocrats piece. Another great aristocrats piece. White and a black. Vampire. Whenever Cruel Celebrant or another creature or planeswalker you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. And of course, Blood Artist, because what vampire deck would not have Blood Artist? I mean, you have to have Blood Artist. Blood Artist is awesome. 1 and a black, whenever a Blood Artist or another creature dies, a target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So the biggest things between Cruel Celebrant and Blood Artist is Cruel Celebrant affects your creatures. So when another creature or planeswalker you control dies, Blood Artist is any creature. Whenever Blood Artist or another creature dies, target player. So great, you should have them both. Legion's Lieutenant, cannon fodder, but it's also a lord. Other vampires get +1/+1. So it's a lord for a cost of 2. Cordial Vampire, this one's great. Yeah, whenever Cordial Vampire or another creature dies, put a 1/1 counter on each vampire you control. So they killed their own saprolings. You get to put 1/1 counters on your stuff, so it's awesome. Bloodthrone Vampire, 1 and a black, sacrifice. A creature, Bloodthrone Vampire, gets +2/+2 until end of turn, and it's a 1/1. Great, 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 great sacrifice outlet. Marvin Fane, the Dusk Apostle. Legendary creature, Vampire Cleric, 2/2. Whenever 1 or more non-token vampires you control attack, create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink. This really helps you to build your vampire army. And of course, with your lords in play, they're 2/2s. Drana Emissary, 1 and a white and a black, flying Vampire Cleric Ally, 2/2. At the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Vampire Nighthawk, because why would you not put this in it? 1 and 2 black, has Death Touch, a lifelink, flying, and is a 2/3. Yahenni, Undying Partisan. Haste. Whenever a creature or an opponent controls dies, put a 1/1 counter on Yahenni, Undying Partisan. Sacrifice another creature, Yahenni gains indestructible until end of turn. It's a 2/2 that you can basically keep on the board forever. It's really nice. Nighthawk Scavenger, the new one from Commander. Wait, no, this one. Yeah, Commander Legend. No, not Commander Legends. I don't remember where this one's from. Flying, Death Touch, lifelink. Whenever Nighthawk Scavenger deals... Nighthawk Scavenger's power is equal to 1+ the number of card types among cards in your opponent's graveyards. So that's awesome. So I've had this go on the board as a 5/3. So before it was taken out pretty damn quick. Excuse my language. Forerunner of the Legion, 2 and a white. Says whenever Forerunner of the Legion enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a vampire card, reveal it, put a shuffle your library, and put that card on top of it. Whenever another vampire enters the battlefield under your control, target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. This is a great tutor because I don't normally play a lot of tutors. This is a great tutor to get a card that you need, or at least a vampire that you need out of the library. Vito, Thorn of the Dusk Rose, 2 and a white. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. 3 and 2 black creatures you control gain lifelink until end of turn, and he's a 1/3. Drana, Liberator of Malakir, great vampire, 1 and 2 black, vampire ally, flying, first strike. Whenever Drana, Liberator of Malakir deals combat damage to a player, put a 1/1 counter on each attacking creature you control. That's awesome. Kalidas, Trader of Get. If a non-token creature an opponent controls would die, instead exile that card and put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield. Awesome. 2 and a black, sacrifice another vampire or zombie, put 2 1/1 counters on Kalidas, Trader of Get. He's a good strong vampire. Sangromancer, 2 and 2 black, vampire shaman, flying. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you may gain 3 life, and whenever an opponent discards a card, you may gain 3 life. It's awesome. 3/3. Edgar, Charmed Groom, 2, a white and a black. This one's in a double sleeve. I didn't realize that. Legendary creature, Vampire Noble, says other vampires you control get +1/+1. And when Edgar Charmed Groom dies, return to battlefield transformed under its owner control. It comes back. He's in his coffin. Get it? Edgar Markov's coffin. It's an artifact, and it says at the beginning of your upkeep, create a 1/1 white and black vampire creature token with a lifelink and put that bloodline counter on Edgar Markov's coffin. Then if there are 3 or more bloodline counters on it, remove those counters and transform it. So he just keeps coming back every 3 turns. I never found out if I can actually just put him in the graveyard. I don't think you can. Cliffhaven Vampire. Whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life. For 2, a white and a black, you use a 2/4, and that's pretty good. Champion of Dusk. This one's fun when you have a whole lot of vampires in play already. When Champion of Dusk enters the battlefield, you draw cards, X cards, and you lose X life, where X is the number of vampires you control. And life in this deck, life is a commodity. It's part of your, I mean, you're going to use it, you might as well abuse it. Vona, Butcher of Magan, 3, a white and a black, legendary vampire knight. It says Vigilance and Lifelink. Tap, pay 7 life, destroy target non-land permanent. Activates ability only during your turn. It's a 4/4. Now, this is a great card. Normally when he comes on the board, people just try to kill it as fast as possible. But this is an answer to a lot of creatures your opponents control, just not the ones that have hexproof, which unfortunately is quite a bit of the big ones. Butcher of Malakir, 5 and 2 black. Whenever Butcher of Malakir or another creature you control dies, each opponent sacrifices a creature. Now, I have had this in play, and my Ashnod's Altar and 6 1/1s, and I sacrificed all 1/1s to clear basically his board, and walked in with Malakir and just kept punching him in the face. It was kind of fun. Was Malakir in another one? I don't remember what name. All right, so 3 instants. I know 3 instants, not a whole lot of instants. I have thought about adding more instants and taking out some of the sorceries, because this is a sorcery powered deck. It's normally on your turn, not your opponent's turn. But Village Rites gets you to draw cards. Fracture kills a creature. Destroys an artifact, an enchantment, or a planeswalker. And then, of course, Anguished Unmaking. Exile target non-land permanent. You lose 3 life. Yeah, 3 instants. I for some reason, I don't know why, but I didn't put a whole lot of instants in the deck. But I've thought about changing some of them. Torment of Hailfire. There's a winning a win con if you get enough tokens. What are they called? Treasure tokens. Night's Whisper, so you can get to draw cards. Feed the Swarm, so you can destroy an enchantment. You don't see that too often in black. Damn! Which is destroy a creature, or if you can overload it for 2 and 2 white, you can destroy all creatures. Sign in Blood to draw more cards. Grim Tutor to find a card. Languish to kill off a whole bunch of creatures if you really need to. Day of Judgment to kill off a whole bunch of creatures that you really need to. Damnation, destroy all creatures. They can't be regenerated. And then, of course, Call to the Feast, where you create 3 white vampire creature tokens with lifelink and then a Fumigate. You'll notice there's quite a bit of death board wipes in this deck, or type of board wipes. I did that on purpose. There's 5 of them. I did that on purpose. I wanted to keep the board state kind of low. I don't want my opponents to be having more creatures at any time than me. While yes, I'm going to have a lot of cannon fodder. Sapperling decks and human decks sometimes will get big fast. So I always kind of just try to keep them at bay. And if I can, if I have to kill her off to do it, I'll go ahead and kill her off to do it just to bring her back. I've done that plenty of times. But if I got 3 or 4, tokens on her, then I'm going to get, or her power, if her power is like 5 or 6, then I'm fine with that. She'll come back. She'll die, and I'll get 5 or 6 1/1 vampires, because that's what she does. But everybody else's board is dead. So I'm okay with that. If I'm able to keep her around 1 turn and then kill her off, then I'll do that. But yeah, it's always fun. Now the land base is kind of easy. It's real simple. This one is heavy in black, so you get a lot of black cards, or black lands. Swamp style lands. These are the cards that tap for colorless, but also do things. So for instance, if you really need cannon fodder, this one will give you cannon fodder. If you need to destroy somebody's specialty land, if you need to stop somebody from having hexproof, there's your detection tower. Vaults of Angels is great because you get to control death touch. Creatures you control gain death touch lifelink until end of turn. Command Beacon, yeah, everybody has it. Sacrifice, put your commander in your hand from your command zone. And then, of course, this is the newest one, Valderan Estates. Valderan Estates, you can pay 1 life, add 1 mana of any color, spend this mana only to cast vampire spells, or you can do the 5 and tap, create a blood token, which I've never done, don't really care to. But it kind of helps. That one at least kind of helps mana fix. These... Oops. Wasn't thinking. These are the cards that either tap or just help you with getting your black and white mana. So you got a double pathway here. The Bright Climb pathway, or if you really need a black, Grim Climb pathway. And it's nice because it comes in untapped. I don't care which way it goes. It's just not a plains or a swamp. Command Tower, add one. Everybody loves it. Castle Ardenvale, Castle Lochthwain. They really help you out. This one helps you get you 1/1 humans if you really need tokens for killing off. Castle Lochthwain lets you draw if you really need to. Cabal Stronghold. This one gets you more land. Or, I'm sorry, more swamp, more black mana. Shizu kind of really does it. One in a tap. Sorry, black in a tap. Target legendary creature gains fear until end of turn. I've done it like twice. It was cool. And then, of course, Bajuka Bog. When somebody keeps going into their graveyard and you really need to stop that kind of shenanigans, you can do that. The double lands, I got Temple of Silence, which is the one land I would get rid of if I could. Godless Shrine. So that's a shock land. Here's a tap land. I don't remember what this one's called. Tapped unless you control plains or a swamp. Shambling Vents, which is cool. It's a man land. 2/3 white black elemental creature with lifelink until end of turn, still a land. Concealed Courtyard. This one's from Amonkhet. No. I don't remember. Not Amonkhet. Not Aether Revolt. Kaladesh. Unless you control 2 or fewer other lands. The new one is Shattered Sanctum. Black and white, unless you control 2 or more other lands. Silent Clearing, pay 1 life, get a that's a pain land, I think. Pay 1 life, get a white or a black. Sacrifice to draw a card. Orzhov Basilica gives you 2. And then, of course, Caves of Kylos. Add 1 colorless or add a white or black and cost you 1 life. There's only like 6 or 7 planes in the entire thing because it's not white heavy. And then, of course, 7 swamps. So that's the vampire deck. I enjoy it. My wife enjoys it. Actually, she enjoys this one more than most of my other builds. I think it's because it beats some of my other builds. It's a fun deck to play. It's a fun deck to have built. And honestly, the only reason why I built it was because some of my play group, everybody was building vampire decks and zombie decks, and I was like, okay, I will build a vampire, and I will build a zombie, and I will build a werewolf deck. And no, I'm not building a spirit deck because I don't like spirits. White and blue is not a favorite of mine. I think I like white. I like blue. I think they're great. I don't like white and blue. I'm just not a fan of that color grouping. Somebody wants to play Azorius, they can. And I will do whatever I can to get rid of them as fast as possible. I think of all the power colors, white and blue together is my least favorite coloring or color group. And it's primarily because white and blue is normally like a pillow fort or a counter or a control. You know, they want to limit you on, and it's like, I just want to play Magic. And I don't like it when someone says, no, you can't play Magic. And in fact, I'm taking all your stuff and I'm going to play your cards. Yeah, see, I don't like that. At that point, I just scoop and walk away. Sometimes the best thing to do is just walk away. So that's the deck. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. Very much appreciated. Hit the thumbs up button. If you liked it, if you didn't, then, you know, you can go ahead and hit the dislike button because I don't care. But if you didn't like it, please leave a comment down below. Tell me what I can do to make it better. If you did like it and you want to leave a comment down below, tell me what I can do to make it better. And I know I'm already going to hear somebody say, why didn't you put more instants in that deck? Yeah, I'm probably going to. I don't know. It's so much fun right now the way it is. I probably will. I wouldn't take this to a competitive with or to a CEDH competition without adding more instants. Because a lot of those cards I told you you can take out, I probably would take them out and replace them with instants, or maybe some other faster mana rocks. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like you just got to do what you got to do to have some fun. Let's see, what would the top 7 cards, you saw me shuffle it, what would I get from my first hand? And would it be good to play? Okay, so 3 lands, there's a 2, a 3, a 3-drop, and a 4-drop. Not a big fan of having those 2 in my first hand, but okay, I got a 1-drop. I would play this. I would play this. I would pay for the 2 with my life, and then I would bring this in, and I would have 1. And Field of Ruin, Suture Priest. That's a strong card to have not had to show up. Shattered. Etchings. Turn 4. Whisper Silk. Turn 5. White, black, too of anything else. There's the Dusk Rose. And then turn, if that was 5, this would be 6, so I'd miss a land drop on this drop, but do a little defense, right? I mean, if you have to sacrifice the 1/1 token to keep that alive, but if nobody is, keep her alive. But if, let's say, nobody's doing anything. Okay. So turn 7. I mean, you could drop that. Now you can't do that to that because of Whisper Silk. But if you had to sacrifice that, you could. Well, I don't have any way of sacrificing it. Okay. I guess I would put this into play at this point. So 2, anyway, 2 black and 4 of anything else. Oh, 5 of anything, so I'm wrong. I'm only on 6, but that was turn 7, so I wouldn't be able to do that. Probably put her into play. It's only 3. Okay. There you go, tutor. So, tutor up. I would probably tutor up the, if I needed it, Smothering Tithe. Rebel to Riches isn't bad. Probably not, though. Depending on who I'm playing, it might be a board wipe. Aetherflux Reservoir is always a good choice. Wedding Ring. But most likely, I mean, depending on like what my opponents were doing. I like that. It would have been the next card. Most likely, it would have been that one, Bolus Citadel. Because Bolas' Citadel, once you get it into play, right? So once it's into play, once you're able to cast it, 3 and 3, so 3, pay a life, pay a life, get a black, and then 3, and as long as it sticks, you're able to play the top card. So I would lose 5 life, pumping everybody up. I haven't played a land, so I would play the land. I would play that to sacrifice this to draw 2 cards. Okay, pay the 3. And it would be stuck there. I'd be stopped on that. Okay. So I would tap that and tap that to bring out the Hierarch. That would go away. You gotta love it when you do things, stupid, weird things like this. There you go. Now you have, oops, already got all that land. So this one would be the one that's on top, right? No, because I would have drew that. I would have put it into play. Yeah, this would have been the one that was on top. So what you could do, I don't have enough cannon fodder out. Not enough cannon fodder, so I would have to. I would probably, depending on the board state, I might do these two. You know? So you go like that, and then you have the 2 and 2 and Languish. So it's going to kill everything. But you're going to trigger off of that. Excuse me. It's going to trigger off of that. And you could do the ability +1/+1 counters on up to 1 target creature you control. Or you could do the -2, and if 1 or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many those tokens are created instead. I'd probably do the first one, Death Touch. And I'd probably put it on him just for giggles because you can't target her. But it would kill her. It would kill him, but it would have all the triggers of everything. Well, it would have the trigger of both of those. So your next turn, and it would kill all of their creatures, or at least majority of them. Next turn goes into your hand. Oops. Play the land. You could do the dam. And what I would do is I would probably play Torment of Hailfire for everything. So it's a fun deck. I hope somebody out there makes it, or at least makes a version of it, tells me what they think, tells me what they did to fix some of the things. And if you like this video, hit the thumbs up, and I will see you later.